Hello, everybody. East Coast Pete here. Another segment of my show, Mid-Rock Crisis. We're saving some rock. And this show is not about the Hollies. It's about Tony Hicks, their guitarist. It's pretty hard to mention Tony Hicks without also talking about the Hollies, since he was a member of that band going back to 1963. He has actually been one of the two Holly members to stay with the band all that time. He actually made himself into a singer-songwriter. Kind of had to when Graham Nash left the Hollies for another gig. Hicks at age 12 was a member of a band called the Skifflettes. Kind of not too cool. Oh well. In a talent show, but you gotta start somewhere. The Manchester music scene in the 60s was as turned on as London, but without media coverage. Tony became a fixture playing lead guitar for Ricky Shaw and the Dolphins. The Hollies came knocking when they needed a new lead guitarist, and in '63 Hicks was asked, and Hicks said yes. With Hicks on board, the band was signed by Parlophone. The Hollies were named after Buddy Holly. They were Hicks, Graham Nash on acoustic guitar and high harmony, Alan Clark lead vocals, Eric Haydock on 6-string bass, and Bobby Elliott and Ray Stiles took over on bass in '86. Of course, Bobby Elliott was their talented and handsome drummer. Holly started out good and progressed to greatness quickly. They were never known as hard rockers, but they weren't pure pop either. They found a level in between that would allow for radio-friendly hits and 3-part harmonies. Even the Beatles couldn't match that. George and Ringo were not known for adding harmony to what John and Paul sang. Like George Harrison, Tony Hicks would write songs for their respective groups, but sang lead rarely. Hicks' first song for the Hollies was When I'm Not There. It's ironic, as Hicks would be a Holly in perpetuity, and the Hollies and the Rolling Stones were the best known English bands to stay together all these years, since the 60s. Here are some more Holly singles. Stop, Stop, Stop. It's my favorite song by the Hollies. King Midas in Reverse. Carrie Ann. On a Carousel. And of course, the mega hit Bus Stop. Hicks sang lead on Pegasus. Tony Hicks was asked to participate on the Everly Brothers album, Two Yanks in England, along with Jimmy Page. Some Hicks penned Holly songs were covered by the Everlys. It occurs to me that Hicks was to the Hollies what a healthy Brian Jones might have been for the Stones had he lived. As did Brian, Hicks provided the skills of a multi-instrumentalist, like his cool banjo part in Stop, Stop, Stop. His guitar style was fluidic, a light touch, inviting melodies instead of forcing notes down your throat. He usually played without effects, but wouldn't hesitate to use them if a song called for it. He played with clarity and with a regard for the emotions of the lyric, without sounding flush with sentimentality. His playing was about his contribution to the sound of the band rather than to draw attention to himself. No pomposity, no power chords, no rampaging glissandos. The melodic rhythms he chose were an important part of what made the Hollies unique. At a point near the end of the decade, Hicks suggested the Hollies do an album of Dylan covers. Graham Nash used his disagreement to the project as his excuse for leaving the Hollies to join CSN, aka Crosby, Stills and Nash. Even though Nash had already sung with them, with CSN, on a trip to California, Nash claimed to be sad to leave the Hollies, but I don't think that was the whole story. Regardless of my thoughts, the fans in London blame America for swiping Nash away. In the last days of 1968, Terry Sylvester replaced Nash on guitar and tenor, but it was Tony Hicks who stepped up his songwriting to keep the Hollies going. Today, the Hollies are still touring, but Clark was on again, off again as lead vocalist. When he left in 1978, Sylvester took over as lead vocalist, but there were thorns in the Hollies. Thorns in the Hollies. And Sylvester left. Clark, Hicks, and Elliott continued recording and touring with the help of session artists. And then in 1981, Nash came back for a Top of the Pops show. He recorded the Hollies' What Goes Round album and toured with it. After the tour, Nash left again. Alan Clark retired. Hicks and Elliott play on. They kind of look like the Hollies' grandpas now. List of some of their singles. In 63, Searchin'. This is like an pub blues. Stay, just a little bit longer. It's covered by Jackson Browne. Just One Look, done squeaky clean. In 64, Here I Go Again, Syrupy Sweet Doris. Troy Was Better. And 65, Yes I Will, Goffin song from the Brill Building. Carole King, Neil Diamond. And I'm Alive, Clint Ballard Jr. Tremolo song. Then Look Through Any Window. This is a Graham Gouldman song, and it is excellent. I love me some Graham. If I Needed Someone, that's a George Harrison song. In 66, I Can't Let Go. Bus Stop, also by Graham Gouldman. Stop, 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 Alan Clark, Graham Nash, Tony Hicks, written by all three, but best known for that banjo. It wasn't like a hootenanny banjo or a barn dance banjo. It was a Tony Hicks banjo. 67, On a Carousel, Nash. Carrie Ann, that was written about Marian Faithfull, by the way. And then the Steel Drum King Midas in Reverse, written by Nash, Clark, and Hicks. Also, at this time, they came out with Jennifer Eccles and Long, Cool Woman in a Black Dress. Two songs as different from each other as perhaps possible in one band. 68, Listen to Me. Nash is a ham a bit. In 69, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Sounds like the Bro Bummels, or the Bo Brummels, Bro Bummels, whatever. I like the Bo Brummels. Have you heard their early stuff? My God, that's some good stuff. In 71, Hey Willie, it's about Nash. In 72, The Baby, and Clark is gone. In 74, The Air That I Breathe. Oh, the air that I breathe. Wow. So, anyway, I could keep going, I suppose, but the Hollies songs have run out on me. I think I've run out of Hollies. What a shame.